dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6 o'clock on Friday, May the 10th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning into Mountain News This Morning. We have no headlines at 6 o'clock because we got a stacked show for you. We didn't even need them. But do you know who we do need in the morning? It's Brandon Robinson, so he can get you prepared to head on out the door to go to work or take your kids to school or whatever you're going to do on this Friday. And the good news, Brandon, it's not going to rain early today, but we're not out of the woods completely.
No, and I think here's what's going to happen. It's going to start to pick up gradually as we get closer to the nighttime hours ahead of the next system that's going to affect us late tonight going through tomorrow and unfortunately on Mother's Day Sunday as well. What happened? Let's go to live pinpoint Doppler radar. Of course, we had that rain in the forecast last night. It fell apart. The cold front started to move through, but the rain didn't come with it. The moisture didn't come with it. So everything pretty dry this morning. You see a little bit of green there. That's basically ground clutter. That's moisture that's not hitting the ground this morning. We zoom out, and you can see where the moisture is. It's down south, low pressure down near Houston out that way. Houston flooded this morning again, and we're going to see all that moisture move toward us. I'll talk more about it coming up in a few minutes.
All righty, Brandon, thank you very much, sir. Well, we continue to follow a disturbing story out of Laurel County. Police say a 7-month-old boy got a hold of meth and ingested it. He's now being treated at UK. The boy's parents and grandparents are all facing charges of criminal abuse. WYMT's Phil Pendleton talked to the grandmother from jail.
It helps me clean to where I can clean my trailer real good and just keep my mind off my son.
Linda Sue Mays admits to using meth, but she says she would never use it around her grandchildren.
I wish to God I never was introduced to it. Never. I didn't think it would ever be something like this.
This grandmother, the grandfather Russell Mays, along with the baby's mother and father, Lindsey Browning and Christopher Mays, are accused of criminal abuse because police say the 7-month-old ingested meth and is now at UK Med Center.
There's something bad going on at that residence for sure, for the child to actually be able to ingest. I mean, why was the child, a 7-month-old, how could the child be in contact with meth in the residence?
But sadly, pediatricians in Laurel County say this can be a common problem.
I would love to say no, but we do see, at least on every yearly basis, we do see quite a few.
The baby is at the neonatal intensive care unit at UK Med Center. If he recovers, doctors say that it's generally a long road to recovery.
Like it could be chemical burns, it could be irritability, sleep disturbances, it could be learning disabilities when they go to school.
I just want to add, I would never hurt my grandson. Never in my life, any of my grandkids. I love them all.
Of the 4 charged, only Linda Sue Mays granted a jailhouse interview. In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
We have not heard a current condition on the baby, just that he is being treated at UK Medical Center. A Southwest Virginia woman convicted of trying to smuggle drugs into an inmate at a state prison will spend time behind bars herself. A jury sentenced 47-year-old Joyce Ann Wine from Norton to 6 years in prison. With 4 of those years suspended, meaning she will only serve 2 years. A guard found the drugs during a routine search at Wallens Ridge back in March. A violent home invasion, all caught on camera. 4 men burst through the door of a home in Bowling Green where the man inside was already armed. We are told the homeowner was asleep just before midnight Wednesday when these men kicked the door open and entered the home. Warren County Sheriff Brett Hightower says several shots were fired before the suspects ran from the scene. The victim was shot in the hand. He is recovering at a Louisville hospital. Meanwhile, the 2 suspects in the STEM School Highlands Ranch shooting in Colorado are expected to be charged today. The 18-year-old and the 16-year-old will likely face first-degree murder and attempted murder charges, according to the district attorney's office. 18-year-old Kendrick Castillo sacrificed his life while trying to stop the attack. Several others were injured. Several Virginia State Police troopers, including 2 from Southwest Virginia, were honored Thursday in Richmond. Trooper Lucas Dowell from Smith County, who was killed during a drug raid back in February, was honored as part of the service. His picture will now hang in a memorial gallery at the VSP Academy. 12 other troopers, including Trooper Robert Giles from Wise County, who died 65 years ago, were also honored at the ceremony. A Wayne County, West Virginia family is preparing to say goodbye to a big part of their lives. Mike Adkins died on Tuesday after a tragic accident when a simple household chore turned deadly. He was working on the roof of his house when he hit his head on a power line. Taylor Eaton talked to his family, who is trying to cope with his loss.
A loving husband, father, grandfather, son, just a few of the important titles for Mike Adkins while he was here on this earth. He was his wife Kim's high school sweetheart, their love blooming at a very young age.
I've known him since I was 16. He was the guy that drove the Mustang and was a little bit older and was, and just so handsome. I mean, he was a looker for sure. So just him, he was his own person. Nobody will ever come close to comparing to just who he was.
And that love developed over the years as their roles changed.
We had Brittany, and we had Tyson, and we had Bailey. He was just like the biggest family man that there was. I mean, his family was first.
His kids and his grandkids were his world.
Just everything I did, I just wanted Dad there with me. I wanted to go through everything with him.
But he and his youngest daughter, Bailey, had a special love. A love that revolved around basketball.
That was Daddy's girl. And I was the one that he whispered to at ball games, rallying up. We got each other in trouble.
Bailey, a standout player at St. Joe in Huntington, and you would always find Mike and his dad at center court, front row, for each game.
Whether it was St. Joe or with travel ball, we've traveled since she's been 5 or 6. So I don't know if he's ever missed a game. He was her biggest fan.
But the next basketball season will be much different, as Mike's seat will be empty.
But we'll get through it.
His 42 years on this earth cut short after a tragic accident, a simple household chore in an instant, changing this family's life.
He's been Michael up until this, and he lost his life just doing a simple deed to make it simpler for his family. That was his life's love.
On Monday, Mike was cleaning the gutters on his roof when he lifted his head up and hit a live power line. It shocked him. He was taken to the hospital, and he later died from his injuries.
He's total love. And every second you're not around him, you miss that love to the point where I am right now. He's gone and I'm here, and this is so hard.
An empty feeling as a man who was so much a part of this family is now gone. Maybe from here, but certainly not from their hearts.
I've told them, I'm like, some kids don't get the luxury of getting 17, 19, and 23 years with him. They have a lifetime full of memories in the years that they've had him. Some kids aren't that lucky.
Feeling lucky that they were blessed to have this husband, father, grandfather, and son for so many years. Maybe he's not sitting in a seat with his family, and maybe he's not sitting in his seat in the stands anymore.
Every game, I'll be looking, and I'll see him there. I know he's there with me.
He's got the full court view now.
Almost every game, he'd be like, I'm just so proud of you. And I'll always hold on to that after every game.
But now, he's getting the best seat in the house to watch over them all.
The funeral will be this afternoon at Morris Funeral Home Chapel in Wayne. There are several different fundraisers that are going on to help the family with expenses. Moving on now, severe weather is ripping through the nation's heartland this morning, bringing flooding and tornadoes to several states. This was the scene Wednesday night after a tornado hit an apartment building in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. The building took heavy damage and 4 people were injured during the storm. Meanwhile, people in the Houston area, Brandon mentioned it earlier, once again are bracing for heavy rain and extreme flooding for the second time this week. Flash flood warnings have been issued for 5 counties in Texas, and the National Weather Service said some areas received 3 inches of rain an hour. The rain is set to move into the Midwest and Louisiana later today. Well, relief is coming to the Sunshine State months after parts of the Florida Panhandle was ravaged by Hurricane Michael. The Category 5 storm ripped through several communities, then Tyndall Air Force Base back in October. Then Governor, now Senator Rick Scott, says he's helped influence President Trump to rebuild the base, which is critical to the U.S. military and North Florida's economy.
The president said he's committed to getting everything he can done. Things under his control are things that, the things that have already been funded through FEMA, things have already been funded through HUD.
The president also announced during a rally in Panama City that HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, will be giving Florida nearly $450 million as part of relief effort. Well, thank you for joining us right here on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, every year thousands of murders across the United States go unsolved. But this year there's a new hope, and we will tell you why.